Subscribe to the Light Sports and Ultralight Flyer web video magazine with hundreds and hundreds of videos now online, including airshow coverage, Rotax engine tech tips, Rotax 377, 447, 503, 532, and 582 engine rebuilding videos, each 2 hours in length, propeller maintenance, advisories and repairs, BRS parachute saves, Bing carb updates, and much, much more. Get a yearly subscription at www.ultralightflyer.com. This has got the feel of RANS.
Well, it does, but it doesn't. Some of the RANs have been real simple, more, I hesitate to say ultralight type because some of his really aren't, but they kind of got that little more fabric covered look to them. Not here. This looks like a factory production airplane, and indeed it is, but it's not only that. They also offer this as a kit. They offer it as an ELSA, and of course as a fully manufactured SLSA. So have it your way, and RANS knows a thing or two about building kits. They've got over 4,500 kits out there, one of the most successful producers of kits anywhere in the world, and certainly in the USA.
And what's this unit called?
This is the S19, and Randy always has an extra name that goes along with that, which is smart marketing. So this one is Venterra. And he always has these unique names that go along with his numbers, but 19 suggests that it's the 19th design by Randy, and indeed that's the case. Several of those models are still in production. A number of others were retired a few years ago because it's just got complicated to keep track of all the different varieties of airplanes that he's got. But not only does he have different numbers on these airplanes, he's got different wing shapes and sizes for various of them. It's kind of like Burger King says, have it your way. Almost any way you want to have an airplane, Randy will be glad to sell you one.
Now this is the first that I'm aware of that he's made an all-metal low-wing airplane.
Yes, the S19 Shikari had some. This has some of the roots of that. That is some of the roots for this airplane in it. But this is an all-metal constructed airplane, front to back, tail, control surfaces, everything. And look at these huge flaps on this thing. This guy really slows down well. And all of Randy's airplanes have characteristics of running pretty fast. This one does 115 knots at cruise, which puts it right near the top of the category for a light sport aircraft. But it also slows down really well. And that's a characteristic that Randy has always preserved in his airplanes, and something as a low and slow pilot like me enjoys. I'm really glad that he does it that way.
And I understand his original prototype was actually his tooling. He actually built an airplane and flew it right from the original design.
There's not too many people that could even try that sort of thing. You normally have to build 2 or 3 iterations before you take one and say, okay, this is what I want to sell now. And even then they tend to change. But Randy's been doing this for so long now, more than 20 years experience in all those airplanes, and a nice facility with some talented people down in Hayes, Kansas, right about in the center of the whole country. He's got it down so well he could actually do like you just said. Most manufacturers, most designers wouldn't even try such a thing. Not only does he do it, he pulls it off beautifully. I flew this airplane, that original one, here at Oshkosh about 3 years ago, I think, and it's just spot on, Randy, but with a difference. Some of his earlier airplanes, let's say the S9, the S10, they were real handly airplanes. I mean, you kind of had to fly them, and if you didn't keep your hand on the stick and keep your hand fairly steady, you'd be doing some maneuvering. This one is just a sweetheart. Almost anybody can get in this and fly it, and therefore that makes it a good flight school airplane.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the airplane. What kind of power are they using?
Well, we go back to our good old friend, more than 75% market share. The Rotax 912, 100 horsepower, gives this airplane lots of get up and go. And it holds 24 gallons. You can see out here, a nice execution on the wing tanks. Of course, one on each side, so 12 gallons on each side. Typical burn rate for these kind of things, about 4 gallons an hour. So you got more hours than I can sit in the airplane. And yet with a real easy handling method to it that just says, look, out here when you fuel up the wings, it's not too far out, but it's away from you in the event of a mishap of some kind, God forbid, but easily fueled with no ladder needed.
Now, RANS is known for the finishes of the airplane, and this interior looks to be finished, so why don't we slip around and have a look at the interior?
Well, you just take a glance at the exterior first. The colors, the way they execute paint, to me it's more like a home-built airplane where a home builder can spend so much time on it, a manufacturer says, we can't make it like that, we can't afford to put that much time into it. Well, what more would a home builder do? I guess you could improve on this, but it wouldn't be easy. So let's go have a look inside.
Again, you're looking quite comfortable in there, Dan?
Well, I mean, we got a nice roomy airplane here. I didn't check the specs to see what it is. We'll look here in a moment, but yeah, this is a nice broad airplane. You know, one of the things about the light sport category at 120 knot maximum allowed speed means, well, you don't need to make it a little tiny thing like a Mooney where you hardly have any room to move, because you can only go 120 knots anyway by law, so why not make it comfortable? And look at this thing. Now, I could wish I could fly with the canopy open. In this particular case, it can be open just a scratch or so, and you can let a little air flow in. But it's also got some nice big vents here right behind my hand, and there's one on the other side too that move a lot of air in here. When I flew it back when, it was winter time, and I didn't want a lot of that coming in here in an Oshkosh winter, but on a day like today, you'd want those cranked open, but they're right there for you. But while you're taxiing anyway, of course you can have it back. So here you are, a nice comfortable situation.
The control systems, what do the control systems feel like?
Well, you know, classic Randy Schlitter, although I mentioned earlier that this is not as sensitive, you might say, as some of his other more aerobatic capable airplanes. But just moving the stick here right now, this is, I don't even hardly need one finger. If you just sort of cast it one direction, it's going to move. Very comfortable stick position. Again, classic Randy Schlitter. He has a real eye for good comfort. Also the seat comfort here, you can see it's almost down to my knee. Another inch or so would be all the way down to my knee. That means for a long flight, this is going to be a comfortable airplane. Top of the joystick here, your camera can show not only trim, but push to talk. And I suppose you can wire these buttons different kinds of ways too, or the factory can if it's fully built. But a comfortable airplane, dual joysticks, dual rudder pedals, and again, done in the classic Randy Schlitter welded style. They're lean but strong, so you don't have a big clunky pedal down there. Raise your feet up a little bit, rock forward on your toes, and you got toe brakes. So nose wheel steering plus toe brakes, you're going to jet this airplane all around on the ground easily.
And you've got this big Johnson bar between the seats. What's that for?
I do. It's not an armrest, although I'm kind of using it as one. This is the flap lever. And let's see, your feet are near it, so I won't lower it, but it's a push to detent. Bring it up, push in the button right here behind my hand, and then lower it down at a position, and click, click, click is the way it'll go.
Now, Randy flies all these airplanes into the show, and he must design a lot of storage space into it, because there's a pile back there.
There is a pile back there. Let me turn around here a little bit. There's a nice little bit of netting back here that you can probably see some of, and so that'll secure things that are back there, because of course if you hit some turbulence in the air, you don't want your luggage going flying around. But it's all the way down to the level of the seat, so a little bit lower than where I'm seated. And you know, you could put quite a bit of baggage back there. It's certainly room for what you need. If you want to camp out, you could easily bring along something a little bulkier. But yes, it's always been a characteristic of Randy Schlitter, like very few other manufacturers really do. Always flies everywhere he goes to an air show.
It's quite a wide panel. You can almost put anything you want on it.
Well, you know, that cabin width contributes to a large panel here. He's got this set up with the dual Dynons that are in so many of our airplanes. The 100 over here, D100, D120 over here. These things can switch back and forth. They can split screen. They got EFIS, that is Electronic Flight Information Systems, or EMS, Electronic Engine Monitoring Systems. They're both available there. Mounted in the center here is our very common Garmin GPS map, in this case a 496. He's also got autopilot on this one, so you can sleep en route. In fact, there's a little story about him laying down in the seat for a while. Took a picture while he had it on autopilot. I don't think it'd be that comfortable to sleep, but that just shows you can, and he's got all that capability in it. But one of the most distinctive things, Dave, is how low this canopy is. In the top of the instrument panel. In so many of these airplanes, it comes way up high. You kind of have to do this to see where you're going on the ground. My goodness, I can see right down to the ground on both sides, very close to the airplane. I've got tremendous visibility, and with this canopy closed here, he's got some nice sun shields that he put in here, and that's nice, but man, you can see the world from this airplane.
So if we want to get some more information, where would we have to go?
Well, you go to RANS.com. That's just RANS.com. But when you get there, you'll be greeted by a couple of symbols, one of which is bicycles, because RANS also makes bicycles. But in this case, you'll click on the little airplane symbol. That'll take you to lots of information. They've always had a great site, jammed with information, a little history of all their many airplanes they've built, and you can find everything you want at that site.